What is up, Coordination? Welcome back to No Counters, No Combos. I know it's been quite some time since I've posted here. I do apologize. I've had a huge issue transferring files from my computer over to my hard drive to be able to edit and upload stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that a little simpler now so I don't have to worry about transferring such large files. But we are definitely trying to catch up here, and probably going to do multiple uploads in the next couple of days just to catch up on the content that we missed out. But as you can see, today we're going to be talking about the Broly deck, the OG Broly from set 1 that was featured in a recent Untapped Battle Chamber video, piloted by Tristan. Shout out to Tristan for the list. This deck is really good. I mean, it's very fair hand control. And of course, you get to go ahead and play one of the darlings of Dragon Ball, which is the original Broly. Whether you like the original iteration or the new Broly BR from the Dragon Ball Super movie, Broly does have a place in the mythos of Dragon Ball as being one of people's most favorite characters. So the fact that you can mix both iterations of Broly, even Bio Broly makes an appearance here too. So as the fact that you can play like all the Broly stuff together is really nice. So if you guys don't know what the leader does or you didn't play back in set 1, he's very interesting. You can't attack your opponent's battle cards with this leader. You can only attack your opponent's leader. When he's unawakened, he's a 10k attacker. When he swings, both you and your opponent discard a card. But if you have the field card out, which the original one was Broly's Ring, it wouldn't affect you negatively. So you can go ahead and just neg your opponent 1 every turn. Doesn't draw when he swings, and he's a draw 2 leader when he awakens at 4 life. When he's awakened is when he gets a lot of interesting characteristics, right? He becomes a 15k attacker, attack once per turn, draw a card, but also when he attacks, your opponent not only discards a card, but you both choose 1 card from your field and KO it or send it to the drop area. So it kind of has aspects of both hand control and board control. It's very minimal, like it's very like, 1-for-1 like spot removal, but having that constant pressure with a leader is really interesting because that's something that is really hard to turn off. Like there's not a lot of leader interaction in the game. There's a couple of cards like Zamasu and a couple of the Sin Shenron cards can tap the leader and keep it tapped. So it's going to be interesting to see how this archetype or deck rather impacts the meta. So that's what the leader does. And we're going to go ahead and start talking about the main pieces of the deck here. Obviously, it's like a good green stuff deck with a couple of different little highlights. So obviously, you're running 4 Charismatic and you're running 4 Dormant Potential Unleashed. That's just pretty much green staple at this point. 3 Broly Rampaging Horror. This is the original Broly 6-drop from set 1. He's a 30k double strike. When you play him, you get to choose 2 of your opponent's cards or discard them, or they're discarded at random. You're just negging your opponent 2 cards in hand. He's a 30k double strike. He is a 6-drop. He does have an evolve cost. You can evolve over a 5-drop Broly for 5, but that's not why you're playing him. You're playing him because of the new field card, Demonic Restraint. So Demonic Restraint is coming out in set 12, basically, and it just completely replaces Broly's Ring. Like, there's no shot of you ever playing Broly's Ring, especially with the Infinite Saiyan Rare that we got back in set 7, the 8-drop SS3 Broly, being able to discard it and search the field card. Demonic Restraint is just the new tool, the shiny new toy that Broly is going to get from set 12, right? So its permanent is it's treated as Broly's Ring in all areas. It's a 1-drop field card. Basically, what it says is if it's sent from the battle area to the drop area by your leader or by one of your battle cards, you get to replay it. So you'll see why that's relevant. And then you can tap 3 green energies to play a Broly. So you're basically tapping 3 to play Rampaging Horror or the 7-drop that you're going to see later on in the deck as well. So it just gives you more versatility to play your big, huge bombs. Now, granted, the issue with the Brolys is they don't really have protection, like especially Rampaging Horror, no barrier, no deflect. I think the 7-drop might have barrier, but I'm not exactly sure. But he definitely doesn't have deflect, so God Sealing is definitely a way to do that. But when you're talking about playing 6 and 7 drops for much less energy, that's obviously going to, benefit you in the future, especially because your opponent is forced to deal with your board in a way that they wouldn't deal with anybody else's board. So the next card is the Secret Rare for set 12. Obviously, it's just a really good card. We're playing 2 Newfound Power Son Gohan. It's just a way to guarantee yourself early awakening if you have the combo with Demonic Restraint. and the ISR. Newfound Power is just a 15k crit swing that your opponent is either going to combo out and lose cards or take it, and then they have no choice, right? So just a good little Self-Awakener. Playing 3 Shocking Death Balls. Shocking Death Ball is still a really good negate, especially in green. Dormant Potential is a floodgate, but it doesn't necessarily stop the oncoming attack. So if your opponent is smart and they swing and then they make their attack really tall and they make their attacks count, then they can swing once more. And if they could do that twice, then obviously you're kind of in a little bit of a pickle there, depending on how much they decide to combo up into that swing. So having Shocking Death Ball, as you saw in the video there, Tristan did Dormant on my kill turn, and then he had a Shocking Death Ball in response to my 1-drop Double Striker. If he didn't have that Shocking Death Ball, it might have been a little different there. But the fact that you have options for negates and you have board control is what's really beneficial about playing green. So we already talked a little bit about the 7-drop. Basically, when he attacks, he's a burst 5, and then he is a critical attacker, and I think he discards 2 cards from your opponent's hand as well after he bursts. So it's just another element of hand destruction. It's another element that can feed into Demonic Restraint, just having big beefy Brolys on the board and just swing, turn sideways, and control your opponent's board and hand that way. So obviously you have 4 of the 8-drop ISRs, because that's what's going to pitch to feed and fetch you your field spell. You can also charge this if you need to. 2 Cells Earth Destroying Kamehameha. It's a really good green extra card. The infinite attack rares that we got, in every color are really good. Obviously, Cell being one of the better ones. It's definitely something that if your opponent doesn't see coming, it could be a bad time. Especially because you could use it offensively and defensively. You can make your attacks really count. And then you could just continue to loop them forward with, obviously, Kamehameha Origins, which we will get to. 3 Punishing Passion. Self-explanatory. Just more hand control. And then the unison of choice for this deck is the Bio Broly. So Bio Broly, basically, what he does is he is a 9k unison that comes down for 1. So he turns on your Charismatics and your Dormant Potentials turn 1, right? His +1 is discard a card. So you're going to discard whatever you want in the drop. So you're going to discard dead cards, you're going to discard Ribrianne, you're going to discard Roshi, you're going to discard stuff that you could get back, you're going to discard stuff that you don't necessarily need, and just to uptick him. And then his -4 is basically he gains 19k power and dual attack and double strike for the turn, so he'll be swinging at you for 25, which is really nice. But the fact that you can turn on your counterplays and your counterattacks early is what makes this card really good. Now just keep in mind, Demonic Restraint specifically says that it has to be sent to the drop area by a battle card or a leader card. So Bio Broly will not trigger Demonic Restraint to free play it. Just keep that in mind. Other than that, it's a really good unison. It's pretty solid. Obviously, you can see, if you check TCG Player, you can see the market values creeping up on this guy. I think he's sitting around like $9 or $10 right now, when a couple of weeks ago he was like $1 or $2. So it's just really funny how that works. 3 Kamehameha Origins, self-explanatory. If you're playing green and you're playing good green extra cards, this is definitely a card you want to play. 4 Paragus to Sacrifice, probably the best card in the deck. It's just a 1-drop cantrip, essentially. And you can choose to pop your Demonic Restraint to draw a card. And then because you're doing that with a battle card, Demonic Restraint's going to come right back. So essentially, you're just drawing a free card. The first turn you play, it's a cantrip. And then the longer he's out on the board, just get infinite value. If you're able to stack, multiples of these guys on the board, as Tristan did in our game, they can get really out of hand, especially if you don't have an answer for them. But there is a lot of 1-drop removal in the game right now. You have Crisis Crusher, you have Secret Identity, you have the 1-drop green Vegeta from like set 6 that just KOs all of your opponent's 1-drops. So there's a couple of cards that have answers to this, but you definitely don't want to let Paragus get out of control, because drawing 4 every turn plus your leader swing is really cool for your opponent, right? 2 Coolers. Tristan didn't really play Cooler against me in the game and that we played, so I don't really see why it's necessary. I guess it's just a backup unison if your Bio Broly doesn't stick. Just want to make sure that you turn on your stuff as soon as possible for defensive purposes. But Cooler is a really good card because it creates those tokens. It just puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. But I think obviously Bio Broly is the way you want to go. Maybe if it were me, I would probably go 4 Bio Broly, 2 Demigra, just to have that turn 1 unison as soon as possible, just to turn on my stuff quickly. But other than that, I guess you can just, this is just a flex spot. 4 Demonic Restraint, self-explanatory. We already went over this card in detail. And then 4 Paragus, Defending Father. So that's a super combo of choice. When you're at 4 or less life, draw 2, warp 1. So it's just a really good super combo. and it has that floating 10k, so you don't really have to be at 4 life for it to get a 10k combo power. Just in case you need to use it early for any reason, you can go ahead and do that. So this is basically the deck that's been making a lot of noise in the community recently. I know there's people who are concerned about the demonic restraint and Paragus to Sacrifice interaction. I don't think it's ban worthy. I mean, yeah, drawing 4 cards is really powerful, but there's a lot of answers for 1-drops. So I don't know. I guess the jury's still out on that. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this OG Broly support and what your feelings are on addressing Paragus to Sacrifice in combination with Demonic Restraint. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I do apologize for the lack of content the last couple of days, but we're going to get to a more consistent uploading schedule from here on out, as we push into 2021. With that being said, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with everything No Counters, No Combos, and we will see you guys in the next video. Be there or be squared.